Rhea,
Yes.
you're 6 years old. In your hand is a small doll made of wrapped bits of like brown vine from the gardens. A bunch of twine that seems to make hair. Albina looks at you with big saucer eyes. Her ears, hopefully, slanted forward. She's just a little bit older than you. Not as... There's more of a gap between you and the other kids, like a full 2 or 3 years, but Albina's pretty close to your age. Do you like it?
I love it! You even made it a little bit blue.
Yeah, as your voice kind of raises, her ears drop down a little bit, and she looks over her shoulder. Says, yeah, I thought you'd like it. I didn't know if you have, you don't have stuff.
No, I know. You all got to bring things from home, and I just sort of... Well, you know what they try to teach us, that the material things are not...
You hear one of the kids laughing in the distance.
Well, they're not as important as what's inside, but no, I love it. This is so nice. Thank you.
And so her fuzzy hands are kind of tucked close to her nervously, and then she kind of leaps out and hugs you, and then she lets go and runs away.
So, or sits in the garden, sort of like play acting the little thing.
It's sometime later. Some of the older girls, you kind of hear them walking in the gardens. They stop and looks at you. Their eyes go wide. And she says, "What's that?" She comes over.
Oh, it's like a root doll.
Oh. They kind of look at each other and they look at you. Can I see it?
Well, no,
the maiden says we have to share.
Yes, but I only just got it today.
It's new.
Yeah.
Can I see it?
Yes, but if you give it right back, we'll take turns.
Okay. I pick it up. Oh,
she sort of like reluctantly lets go, like a little like clinging on.
Oh, it's blue like you.
It is. Isn't that so nice?
How come it doesn't have little horns?
I imagine it would be harder to make that.
One of the other kids is like, I want to see it too. And then she goes to hand it over, but she seems to... I mean, it must be an accident, but somehow it goes so... Like, she tosses it. It lands in the mud.
I can clean... No, let me get it, because I can clean it off. It'll be fine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You didn't mean to. It's just... She picks it up and sort of like dusts it off. Wipes off the little face.
And as you're kind of cleaning the mud off, you hear a voice. Coronet and Tabaxi, priestess.
Rhea sort of drapes her sleeve around the doll.
And you can see, as you spin around, the other kids have kind of run off already. Coronet is staring at you, glaring daggers. She steps closer to the edge of the mud. What are you doing?
I was playing with some of the other kids.
Your robes are filthy. They're in the mud.
The garden?
Come here.
She takes one step closer.
What do you have? What is in your hand?
Just some roots.
Are you lying?
It is roots. She sort of pulls it out, like has it upside down with like the identifying features still in her hand.
Give that here. She holds her hand out.
Sets it reluctantly.
Your vanity is astounding. Go clean your robes. She walks off with the doll.
She looks down. She is covered in mud and sort of nods to herself and heads back into the temple.
You wake up to the sound. Come out of your meditations to the sound of Esmond working in the workshop. As Araya awakens, what does she see from everyone else in the basement of the tower?
Esmond is set up on a makeshift stool, leaning across the table, intently studying the crystal matrix, and he has the familiar rings under his eyes of having not slept all night. Currently 1 level of exhaustion.
Araya sits up slowly, goes to her backpack and is shuffling around in it a bit. Are you just reading or are you tinkering? Like, what's the level of activity?
It's a bit of both, I think. I mean, DM, I don't know if Esmond has figured out how to fully operate the crystal matrix yet, so I imagine it's a bit of tinkering to understand it and reading whatever I can pull up.
Yeah, you're still working on it. You're definitely making progress, but in terms of like how to access what's inside of it and the complexity of that, it'll take a little bit of time.
All tinkering.
If the desk is large enough, at the edge of the desk, she sort of just like gently sets another couple of the weird puzzle smart kid toys.
Well, hold on. Before you do anything, what does she see from everyone else? Like, what are they doing when she wakes up?
Yeah, what are you all doing?
Kabeth is sitting in the corner. She is kind of slouched in a chair, and you see she's like holding a ridiculously large book. And she looks very puzzled at it, but she's holding it like strangely like up close to her face. And then if you were to observe closer, you would realize she has a second book inside that book that she's clearly trying to hide, and it's much smaller. I don't know if there'd be like a paperback, but it's like the equivalent of paperback. And she's like, oh.
Peach similarly has a book in her lap, but she is transcribing instead of reading. She is with sort of pen in hand, quickly jotting down everything that is going on here. Her journals so far haven't changed as much as she thought that they might have. So she's trying to keep a record of at least this version of reality. So she is writing down seemingly innocuous things, almost like a timeline. Just bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. As Esmond does them. But she includes her own notes as well. She's not like spying on Esmond or being a creep about it. She's just sitting by taking notes. And every now and then she would call it to Ez in between dozing off herself and say, "Hey, Ez, is there anything you want me to do? You know, I can help. You know, I can help." And then she would help, but only if Esmond wants her to. She would otherwise stay out of the way.
You hear a clatter from the next room over as things fall to the ground. Yes, finally. Casey comes running into the room, holding a piece of a mirror broken in a triangle pattern. Where's Ishtalan? Anyone? Have you seen her? I finally...
When the mirror was broken, everyone heard the sound of shattering glass and separation of colors. Wait. It's
I haven't seen Ishtalan or Doc in a minute.
No, she's got to be in here, and I'll run to the other room. Ishtalan!
Casey, it's okay if you can still remember her. It's probably fine.
What do you mean finally?
I found the mirror, so I need to find Ishtalan now.
What mirror? What are you talking about?
She's probably out somewhere, sneaking around. I'm going to go find her.
No, Casey. Peter trying and stop him. It's one of those things. She's blipped out just for a minute, like Cypher does sometimes. She'll be back. It's okay. What mirror? Tell us all about it.
No, I mean, I'll have to let her know first, but he's like halfway out the door when Peach stops him. Yeah, I'll tell her when she comes back. It's fine.
Araya does sneak 2 small toys onto Ez's desk off to the corner, mumbling something about smart kid toys.
Wait, okay, hold on. Let's do that thing. So you see those things play out as you're waking up. And you see Esmond is back to you. He's working on the crystal matrix. There's a slight bluish light that's coming from it that's kind of defining his outline, casting some blue light onto the wall. You've got the toys in your hand.
Like, subtly, but not subtly. She sort of just, like, kind of leans and looks over and, toy.
Are you trying
He's not going to notice it. It's going to be sly.
Okay, roll sleight of hand. And Esmond, roll disadvantage perception.
Plus 12.
You got 14.
I am not the most sneaky of sneaks, but at least I won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so he seems too absorbed in the crystal matrix as you set the toys down. Yeah, they seem to be little wooden puzzle boxes.
She's sort of thinking to herself, like, maybe these are, like, not toys, but practice things to make him do what they need him to do in this iteration of him.
Hard to know. But the nature of the toy seems to be, it's like a problem that you solve, and it seems like the method for solving it is remembering patterns and...
Araya did not understand the toy. I just decided to roll an intelligence just real fast, so it's delightful to me that I utterly failed it on those.
Perfect.
That works.
So Esmond, after a few moments, you realize somehow 2 of these toys have appeared on the desk beside you. You were just doing something with the crystal matrix.
Alright, it's long gone. They're just there. And they might have been there for a long time. You don't know. You were concentrating.
Esmond will see the puzzle toys, and distracted from the crystal matrix, he'll reach out to them. And is there anyone in the immediate vicinity that's like watching over Esmond currently?
Each.
I am. I am here to Girl Friday, so I would be watching you pretty actively.
Peach, I would ask you to please make a DC 12 insight check.
Also, Peach making a perception check.
No! No!
All right, so I'm going to do a perception check and a insight check.
Mm-hmm.
Not very insightful, but very perceptive, Peach Pine.
Yeah, maybe you're distracted from your observation of Vesmond because as Araya, maybe oblivious to your presence, comes into the room and sets something on the desk. You see her tail dip into Esmond's bag and come out with
No!
a small, uncut sun gem.
No! What
He
I
makes
give,
it-
I must
Peach
take
makes
it away.
makes a small note in her notebook.
I'll say, Peach, that since your focus is pulled towards the highway robbery, as Esmond is reaching towards the puzzle toys, he stops and then pushes them away before going back to the crystal matrix.
Esmond, do you want to take a break? Just, you don't have to even leave the table. Do you want some food or something to drink?
No, thank you.
These toys didn't appear on your desk as nothing. People are worried about you.
I could use a snack. You hear from behind the book.
You don't have a snack back there already?
I ate them.
Not anymore.
Might be a good moment. It's just for everyone's sake. Maybe you can see it as a moment to debrief us. You can have a cup of tea and you can tell us all what you have figured out so far, and then it will be updating us. So it won't be a waste of your time because you'll be catching us up, and it'll give you a moment to catch your breath.
Peach, it's just better to let him do his thing. He needs to don't break his focus.
Esmond, you roll an advantaged investigation check.
Would it be a straight roll since I'm exhausted?
Not for investigation.
$28.
You can hear Peach talking, but you're so close. You're on the edge of a breakthrough of gaining access to the Matrix. Maybe one more day.
I'm fine. I can debrief in time. Just I need more time.
All right, but I can't speak for everybody, but you do have to eat and sleep eventually, okay? I'm not going to interrupt your process or anything, but
Then
we
stop
are here to
interrupting
help
me.
you. Oh.
He says all this without looking up.
I tried to tell you. She addresses Peach.
Trying to make sure he doesn't starve to death. He hadn't been sleeping at least. Can't
He
force
won't.
him to sleep. I can put food in front of his face, though.
Peach, it's okay. He'll be fine. Distract yourself with something else. I'm keeping an eye on him too. It's better to just not say anything and just put the food next to him and eventually he eats it.
Returns with herbal tea.
Casey, as they are doing that, roll a perception check.
I'm gonna slide a hand this shit too.
Casey's in the corner with his leg bouncing up and down. He's obviously impatient about something. You said perception.
Araya, what were you trying to do just now?
Just slides the tea, but like it makes that like obnoxious like
17.
Yeah, Casey, you catch a bit of movement out of the corner of your eye. not the corner of your eye. You catch a bit of movement in the shard of mirror that you're holding. When you look, nothing's there.
Well, if Ishtalan's not here, someone's going to have to scout. I'm going out. And he pockets the mirror and heads for the door.
You're going out to scout? Or you want someone else to scout and you're just going out?
No, I'm going out. I'm going to scout.
Okay. Do you want some company?
No, I won't be long.
As Casey begins to head up the stairs, there's a loud metal clang as the sword hits the edge of the doorway.
As I guess we're not an outside adjoining door.
No. To get out from here, you need to go up the stairs or through that narrow tunnel.
Okay, cool.
Okay. It becomes clear, I think, after a few moments, that Esmond, engrossed in working on the crystal matrix, it's going to take him some time. Casey is left to go scouting around. Is there anything immediate that anyone wants to do before I pass him a little bit of time?
Casey will actually scout, though. Look for, new footprints or anything in the snow and whatnot.
So we'll say over the next several hours, 10 hours or so, give me just a brief little montage of how the characters are spending their time.
Esmond is... He barely changes position. He is leaned over the table, working on the crystal matrix. He pauses very, very briefly, a handful of moments at most, every once in a while. And anyone that is in the same room that's keeping an eye on him, so I guess Kibeth and or Peach, would clock that, but you would catch that his eyes are... He loses focus on the crystal matrix for only the briefest moments before going back to it as his eyes cut to different spots in the basement. And that just goes on for the next handful of hours.
Peach only stays in the room for another 20 minutes or so after Ez asks her to be quiet. She doesn't want to seem like she's chasing Casey out, but she'll walk out a few minutes after that. And then for the remainder of the time, you'd see Peach popping into the room occasionally. She brings a tray of food, a bowl of porridge. She brings some hot hakim for everybody. Brings some tea for Esmond. But she's flitting around, only ever in that room for a minute or two before going back to the kitchen. And sometimes outside. She's not scouting, but it seems like she needs to catch her breath. So she keeps moving.
Casey is perched on one of the high points of the ruins in kind of a gargoyle position. The snow is cascading around him in a unnatural sphere, but the wind still blows from behind and to the side, making his hair go crazy off to one side as he sits there, crouched with the mirror in his hand, and he's spinning it around. His shadow is cast a bit long down the side of the ruins, and there's a grin down at the far end of it. And his knee is still bouncing in an impatient manner. He says to himself, No, it definitely wasn't Ishtalan. I know the difference between the two. And he stops spinning the mirror and stares into it a moment and spins it again. Well, if she were here, I could show you. He looks down at his shadow. Yeah. No, she should be back soon. She's not out here. I didn't see any footprints. I would have saw the footprints. Yeah, you're right. Let's head back. And he kind of kips up off of the high point and starts to make his way swiftly down the ruins to head back inside.
Have we heard from Kibeth yet?
I think Kibeth looks up from her book when she sees Peach leave, and she glances over at Esmond and what is probably an untouched cup of herbal tea placed there by Rhea, and she deep sighs and folds the inner book and stuffs that in her bag real fast because no one's looking. She folds the big book and she pulls up a chair closer to Esmond and doesn't say anything. And just kind of looks over his stuff, and maybe she pulls over a piece of paper and she starts doodling on it. And she's just gonna sit by him, not say anything.
DM, could I ask Kibeth to make a quick roll now that she's moved closer to Esmond?
Yeah, sure.
If you're going to be sitting closer but not interrupting him, give me a DC 10 insight check.
I think I have advantage on insights. I do.
Oh. Emotionally smart.
That's a natural 20.
Tell her all your secrets, Ez.
No, that's
That's
good.
an insightful girl.
That's very good.
I have my moments.
So I described earlier that Esmond would briefly stop tinkering and his eyes would cut around the room. You would gather, because you're not interrupting him and you're monitoring him a bit closer now, that when he stops working on the Matrix and his eyes begin cutting around the room, his eyes are cutting to specific points in the room. You can tell that he's looking back at the room that's hidden behind the bookshelf where the jars of other Air Genasi figures are. His eyes are cutting to the bedroom, to the children's room. There are a couple of flasks on the table that he's working on, and you can see that it's when he stops and is looking at the flasks that a tinge of concern and fear crosses his eyes as he's staring at his own reflection before forcing himself back to working on the Matrix.
She'll kind of take note of this for a bit. And then after some time passes, she still doesn't say anything to him, but instead she pulls out the book that he gave her, and rather than hiding it in the big book, she's just reading it openly in front of him now, and every once in a while she glances over at him. She won't say anything. Time will pass like this for a while.
What is there to do in the tower? Because Rhea's stumped, y'all. She doesn't understand his toys. She doesn't understand Matrix. She can read books great, but not engineering books.
Let's do another shopping montage.
Forest? Yeah, no. Patchwork blanket. She's gonna bring it, like, drape, like taking care of now Ez and Kibeth. Like, it's cold. It's winter. They're in a stone tower. It's a basement. It's not warm. But just like...
Yeah, you guys are in the secret basement of a destroyed stone tower. There's a single tunnel that leads out to the riverbank. You have to get out through Esmond's childhood room in order to reach that, and there's a set of stairs that heads up to the ruins, and the surrounding landscape is snow-covered wilderness days away from Lunge's Pass. The only footprints in the snow are those that you have left behind yourself.
And no one told me about the ghosts, because, sorry. Yeah, Aurea is, puttering around and enjoying just the quiet. It's, it's a little temple-like. It's everybody's, like, deep in their thoughts, and she's praying a lot more. There's, like, candles. You smell some gentle incense, but it's incense that sharpens the mind, so it's very helpful. The tea does not provide any caffeinated experience whatsoever. You feel healthier for drinking it. Might gag a little because there's no honey.
Peach is also providing coffee, though, or fantasy coffee, whatever it is we call it.
Watch which one gets drank super fast.
For those of you who want mental stimulation.
It's Hakeem and Lux.
Yes.
But if hours pass, Aurea is going to pull up a chair, grab a book, and just read it. Just be like, take notes.
Okay, I think there's some point where Aurea's reading, Kibeth is reading, and Peach, you're going through your standard reading of Miranda's journals.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in one of those quiet hours when you find something in Miranda's journals, Peach. You find a mention of the Lockhart Sundry, the same name that was carved into the back of the frame of the portrait that Salinger found in Muirwood. And it's a small entry in the journal, but it mentions, it's Miranda mentioning how Kaylee was so interested in the Lockhart Sundry and had become good friends, seemingly become friends with the proprietor, and that he had asked them to come sit for a painting.
Is there a date on this? Do I have any idea how long ago this entry was made?
It's like roughly 50 years ago. But it's in that section of the journal when they're in Briarspear. They're far, far, far south of Eastvalen. What you've been able to gather from reading it, it's, just by flipping through here and there, after they're in the Briarspear, they head north. They spend some time. You haven't gone through these entries in detail, but they spend some time in the Sarathan Desert, and then before they reach Eastvalen.
Is there any more information about Kaylee? Peach would be specifically flipping through, looking for more details about this other person who she's seen the portrait of now.
That's how you found this, is like searching for that information. So what you kind of learn from this is that Kaylee seemed to be like a very extroverted person, making friends with people at different towns that she and Miranda visited. Much more outgoing than Miranda herself.
I mean, Kayla is a half elf like Peach. Or is she full elf? I can't remember.
She is a full... Wait, no, half elf, excuse me, half elf.
All right, cool. Thank you. It's really good. Very interesting. Peach kind of flushes as she's reading through, and she pulls out another sheaf of paper, like tied in some kind of ersatz binding with a ribbon, and she makes her own notes, writing down the locations and cross-referencing with, kind of notes like check against map later. This is not anything that's urgent, but it's what she wants to look at eventually once the world is saved and everything.
As this is going on, Esmond, an advantaged investigation.
Oh, one of those was a natural one. That is a 31.
Okay. Yeah, it's sort of in this quiet hour, late in the night, though it's still daylight outside. You crack it. You crack the encryption on the crystal, gaining access to the crystal matrix, and there before you, information blooms before your eyes. You're able to activate the crystal matrix and projecting all around you, and everyone would see this onto the walls and the tabletop itself. It seems to project out almost like journal pages themselves and diagrams, and it all blossoms there around you like a flower opening. And just by happenstance, you nudge maybe one of the projected pieces of paper with a finger, and it moves. And you realize this is sort of a method of presentation of the information that's inside, that you can work with it, that like they're on a desk.
Oh, okay. Oh man. I mean, play around with how it operates first, but rummage through it. I want to see if I can find an index of some sort that like categorizes the information in here or not.
Looking through, there is not an organizational system quite like that, but looking through what's immediately available, it looks like journal entries and research notes and all those sorts of things. Now that's at sort of one, we'll say, level of it. So like notes and writing journals, you see letters between Desmond, now that you know his name. Your name? And Magrin. You also can see that the vast majority of the crystal matrix storage is taken up by what had been previously mentioned in the recordings, that of a version of an Esmond was able to capture some sort of temporal event and store its signal in the crystal matrix. Now that takes up the vast majority of the matrix storage, and you're not sure how to access that, but when you immediately see the notes surrounding it, Desmond is theorizing how if you're able to find a way to align the information through the crystal matrix, it could give that signal substance in your reality. Now, the machinery in the room is not necessary for this, and you can see notes that the application of spells, conjuration magic, should be able to do the job itself. And though the solution wasn't exactly found, just glancing through the notes, that the application of a mirror image spell, once you've sort of found the right orientation for the signal itself, should simply do the job of giving it substance. But looking through the notes, it looks as though, well, there are at least 10 iterations of Esmond's that worked on this project, didn't solve it. That one's going to take some time.
Okay, then no. So I'm going to make a note of that. And I want to begin looking for the section that specifically deals with the device in the hidden room that allowed Desmond to pull alternate versions of himself to this reality. I specifically want to know what those jars are, why those bodies are being preserved in jars. I want to know what the deal with those is.
Okay. Yeah, looking through the notes, like, you might need an hour to go through all the information to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, so everyone sees the room light up with the Matrix coming alive, and Esmond doesn't say a thing to anyone. He just, as if he's still in that trance of tinkering with it, he is just looking through it. You hear him humming and clicking his tongue when he hits a dead end before he finds a place that before he finds a section that he's looking for, and he just goes back to his silent studying of that.
Does everyone react to what's happening? This bloom of blue light around Esmond, and then projected images and diagrams and dense arcane information.
I do like the when the like it's a light show. It's cool. She reacts. No one else reacts. She's like,
Peach isn't present.
it's cool. This is much more interesting than the books.
Kabeth is surprisingly non-reactive. She kind of like glances at Esmond, is like taking a read on his emotions, reacting to all of this, and she's spends enough time silently sitting with him while he works that like she knows not to make a big deal unless he's making a big deal, and if he doesn't like do much, she's just like, okay, this is cool. This is nothing to panic about. Nothing's gonna explode. I'm safe. I'm just gonna. And then she goes back to reading.
I like to believe that your very good insight check is carrying over, and Maria's like suddenly like awkward.
And this
Good job.
and this isn't necessarily tied directly to the moment of your last montage. Like, if you want to be present for this, you can be present for it.
I imagine Casey would come back at some point after this has come on and be like, you're in. No, I was thinking, what about, in order to get to other dimensions, have you considered, like, mirrors? Could we use mirrors in some way?
Is that?
Like, I know opening the portal, but if you somehow factor in a mirror into that equation, might help. Is there anything in there about mirrors?
He doesn't look up, and he just softly says, I'll look into it.
Good.
If Peach shows up a few minutes later, she'd kind of come down and be like, now all y'all are missing? There is food on the table. Some of you have to eat. Oh. And then she notices the screens and rolls of holographic parchment all around. And just like, what? Esmond, good job. It's something else.
Without looking up, I just need more time.
All right, well, the rest of you all foods, it'll keep and all, but it just won't be as good if it's cold. Whenever you're ready to leave.
Anything warm would be great. I mean, extreme cold doesn't bother me, but it is cold.
Peach made stew.
And just to better maybe describe what you guys are saying, it's essentially like the crystal matrix is projecting on nearby tabletops and walls as though like you're seeing a recreation of someone's messy workspace with things tacked on the walls and papers all over the tables and stuff like that.
Is it a conspiracy theory like thread tack, but magic?
Yes.
It overwhelms Araya with confusing stuff that has nothing to do with religion. It's all science. Magic science.
I imagine it's like you finally got the password on the desktop and the desktop's disorganized. Like, oh shit. Like the computer's just like, nothing. Nothing has good labels. Everything is just final.
Oh no. This
My
is
favorite game.
Very much like
and
that.
the Matrix portable, right? Or do we
Yeah.
need
The crystal matrix is portable. It's about the size of a Rubik's Cube.
Hell yeah.
That's good to know. I was picturing it much larger.
Maiden, yeah. Sorry. Araya follows Peach out. I really thought he was making progress, but it seems like he's not making progress that he wanted to make progress, and I worry that, like, is this just going to be a study tower? And what did he say about an airship before? And I feel really awkward asking about an airship, but I don't think the tower's an airship. That would be silly.
Araya, I think this is one of those times where, I'm going to pass on some advice Beth gave me earlier, where sometimes we can just be quiet and let Esmond do his thing. I ain't going to overthink it, but you can help me.
But he can be quiet while we walk. We could put him in the wagon, and he can. Well, I guess it wouldn't project on anything.
I think he needs to be here amongst his, ideas from his past selves or alternate selves or other. You know what I mean?
The
other Esmonds. He needs to be here where the other Esmonds did their work so that he can work off of their notes.
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
because what if something is left here that he really needs, and then we left, and that would be a horrible idea. Nope, we need answers for here. We'll do it here. It's just, Gwen told me about this tower, and she said there was a whole cache of weapons here. And maybe she was just saying that to be like, oh, this is a place you should go.
If you ask me, I think this whole place has bad feelings to it. I think that the best thing that Gwyn and Mogwood did was save baby Esmond from this place and bring him to Shep's End so he could have some kind of a regular life. Can you imagine if he'd been raised here instead by some older version of himself and just been able to do nothing but math and science for his entire childhood? He wouldn't be able to do anything fun.
Don't get me wrong. I think Ez would have been really, really happy doing nothing but math and science for his entire childhood. You do know that all of the other subjects really... No, but you're not wrong.
I mean, math and science ain't my cup of tea. All right, fine. Maybe that would have been Esmond's dream life, but...
But don't you think it's interesting that of all the problems that he has to solve to save the end of the world, it just happens to be the one that all of the people that led him to being here and with us were also trying to solve?
Well, of course it's the case, because if it weren't, then... This is going to sound ridiculous. If this weren't the most important Esmond, then we wouldn't be here reading this story, living it with him. He's got to be the one that cracks it, because this is what we're talking about. I mean, Salinger fell through time, and then this is the timeline that I'm in where I heard that story. There is one that is correct, and we are in the correct one.
Well, it's not just that. I think that, what if Salinger let slip that this was incoming, and then Esmond Desmond, she like does the letter thing to remember the guy's name. That to Desmond, the Magister, that then he was turned on to the fact that this was going to happen, and then it influenced his research to somehow eventually save the world. And even if his research was abominable, that the purpose of it was to save our reality.
I don't even think it needs to go as far as that. I think our Esmond needs help. And I don't care if he's from this reality or not. I don't care if he was ripped through time and space, and I don't care. I don't care that he's Genasi. I don't care that he's from a different universe. I don't. He's our friend, and we're going to support this version of him.
Oh, I know. I just think that it's interesting. He was taken from the equation, and all his childhood has somehow led him back to this, as if it is
right. But he was taken from this equation, and then we were added to it. Aurelia, this is the difference that this S has. He came back of his own free volition. He wasn't ripped from anything. He came back, and he came back with help, with his friends. So
I just think
that's gotta be right.
He's gonna do it, though. He's meant to do it. That's what he's going to do it, and I'm glad that even through all the changes, that maybe those changes made him more capable of doing it.
Right, girl, we are agreeing.
I thought so too. But
it's this Esmond who's going to do something important, because this. She shakes her head and she kind of fidgets with her bag a little bit, where she keeps all of the letters from Salinger and her notebooks and every other thing that she keeps records of. All right, this is the one. This is the timeline. This is the Esmond. This is what we can affect this one. That's why we're here. Right? This is what makes a difference. This Esmond ain't alone. All right? We're here to support him.
I wish that we had more tangible ways of helping and believing in him, but I do believe I believe that he'll figure this out, and that'll be great. What did you Casey with Mir? What was he saying? She goes and wanders off with a bowl of soup.
Yeah. Peach would happily muse over that with Araya. She has her own theories about Casey.
I'm later in a room where there seem to be translucent blue papers on the wall on the tabletop. And that Esmond, you find the information that you're looking for. Just there amongst the other writings. A single paragraph connects it together. The things in those jars. Desmond's first attempt to pull a version of himself from another time into this one. Early failed experiments. Simply didn't survive the process.
Does it say anything about why he kept them?
Purpose of research. In the process of finding that information, however, skimming through, looking for something, you have gone over enough to build an overview of understanding what's in these Desmond's journals and research. So now you have access to all of the notes that are in your private channel. The research can go quite deep, but you at least have the overview.
Okay. Okay. In that case, Esmond is going to Esmond gonna do?
Drink the tea.
Somebody else do something different real fast. I need to look at spells to see if I have anything that could help with what I want to do.
If this is
Oh, good.
if this is around the same time, maybe a little bit later. In case you'll find Araya suddenly. There's weapons here. I heard you talking to Peach.
Yeah, so Esmond's mom said, go to the tower. We hid a cache of weapons underneath it. Well, we got underneath it. Now, do you think she was just alluding to this stuff, that this was weapons, or that this was oh, gosh.
Just as a reminder, with Esmond's black iron key, you guys did find that cache of things hidden under the rug.
But it wasn't weapons, it was a engine.
No, there were weapons as well. I
wasn't there for that! You mean these weapons?
I haven't detailed everything yet. But.
Oh, okay. I mean, it was probably that stuff we found.
What stuff? I only found toys!
You found toys?
Yeah, I found, well, they're like really dumb toys. They're not fun.
I mean, if they were Esmond's, they're not dumb. Let me see.
No, I'm dumb. It's me. The problem with the toys is me. But no,
You're
okay,
not
here, look at this
dumb
one.
either. All right, let me see it.
Yeah, okay, you try it. I left some, and then it seems like he hates them, even though he stole one out of my hand, so I thought they were important to him, and so I grabbed all of them.
He almost drops it in the dirt, but then catches it at the last moment.
Right, like, kind of like holds out her dresses. Ah!
I mean, it's pretty simple. This is just like a puzzle, right? You just, in case he starts turning things on the toy.
She sort of like blushes a little bit, but like looks like flustered. Oh, okay, well, okay, maybe if you do it.
No, yeah, that looks right?
Well, this is all that I found. What did you find? And what's with the mirror? And what do you mean? And where's Echelon?
I mean, she's probably, where people go when they disappear, but...
I was thinking about that, actually. Just like, we're like stuck in... well, that's just like the concept of paradox, right?
Like, two of them?
No, I mean all of it.
Oh.
No, but it's just... Yeah, she'll be back, but what about the mirror? And then... Well, like... Casey, your shadow, right? Like, when Echelon wasn't here, Shalati was here, and her shadow seemed to be Echelon. Who is your shadow? Your uncle? Or is it just a...
No, my shadow's my shadow. The mirror...
Right.
I think the mirror might be like a key in order to reliably open portals to the other places, maybe see where you're going, that sort of thing.
Oh. Well, then how does the mirror relate to the actual tears? And I thought the tears and the portals were quite simple. The portals one you do on purpose, and the tears are just our fabric of reality falling to pieces.
Well, I mean, mirrors are just weird as it is, because how do they even do it? How do they know what's inside the room? But Esmond just needs more time. Like, if you guys would stop bugging him, then he could figure it out.
I wasn't bugging him.
Casey glances at the toy and back to her.
I thought it would help. They were teaching tools. It's relevant.
Yeah, maybe when he was like 6, but
Oh,
he's way beyond that now. Like,
that's true.
he just needs a bit of time. And then we'll be able to travel, through whatever portals we need to. Find Shalati. We'll do what
Well,
needs to be done.
I think
It'll be good.
it's. But I think that the solutions are far beyond the portals. I think it's all of it. I think it's all of it.
This is Ez we're talking about, though.
Yeah, that is Ez we're talking about. We're like right outside the door where Ez is working.
Actually, as you're having that conversation, could Beth roll a perception check?
Another natural 20.
Oh my gosh.
Holy snacks!
If Beth is on a fucking roll tonight,
Only when it
gang.
really doesn't matter.
Glad I got mine.
Yeah, as Araya and Casey are talking, you're in the midst of your books or whatever you're doing. It just catches the edge of your attention. You hear Araya mention the word paradox, and oh wow, that triggers something. Oh, that sounds familiar.
That's all I get for 24. It sounds familiar.
You have information in your private channel.
Oh. Quebec goes on reading.
Okay, sorry about that. After having read what he was looking for, Esmond would finally stand up from his research, completely disregarding whatever drinks or food have been laid around him, and just say to Beth, "Hey, quick meeting up in the food area, real fast. I think I got something figured out."
Oh, okay. You want me to go gather everybody up real quick?
Everyone's eating already, right? It smells like food.
Sure. Let's go find out.
For too long, all of you find yourselves together upstairs in a place that Peach has prepared for everyone to have their warm meals despite the cold of these wild lands. Peach, how have you set everything up for everyone?
Peach has set it up so that we are eating in the tower itself, but she's used the Wandering Wanderlust as kind of an ad hoc additional kitchen. So as it's happened before, there's a door where there was a door, but before the door just led to a closet. Now it leads to the pantry of the Wanderlust, or Peach's envisioning of it. She's able to put together something simple but hearty. Just some vegetable stew from supplies that they had, and she's serving it with flatbread. She had found some grain and millet and wheat, but nothing to leaven it with particularly. But she's made kind of not pancakes. It looks like naan, right? Flat breads that she cooked in the oven itself. I imagine that there's an oven here, a kiln of some kind. So as you come up to the space above the workshop, the kitchen area, it smells like good spiced stew and warm bread, and you can hear your friends talking to each other.
Too long, you guys are all sitting around, some fresh food, pleasant scents, and
Esmond is sitting down, but he is not eating, and despite it having only been him only having stayed up for a night so far, he looks worse than he typically does after a late night research. But he just announces without touching food or drink. Okay. Cracked the access into the crystal matrix, so I have access to all of Desmond's notes. And I have made some initial discoveries, I think, that could kind of point us in whatever direction we need to move into next.
Vane reaches out and takes a bit of bread and pulls it close. What did you find?
Sorry. Yeah. Well, first, this tower's not Magister Desmond's tower. It actually belonged to a wizard named Jamalamin Silentall.
Real quick, as we go into this next segment, there's going to be a lot of information. This would be a really good time if you want to be oriented to be focused on this.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my best to look at the camera. I'm reading a lot of stuff here, though.
Hell yeah.
This place belonged to another wizard named Jamalamin Silentall. It's not a name I'm familiar with necessarily, but this tower, it travels. It can travel, but it actually travels across. It travels to different places and planes. It can take us. It could travel to places much further than we could even fathom. I don't know if it is fixable. It's that's not the point. Desmond, Magister Desmond, he was studying specifically the nature of time and magic, and his research. In his research, he discovered that the natural state of reality, and he discovered that the natural state of reality is essentially a force of absolute and pure chaos, where every possibility and impossibility simultaneously exist and annihilate one another, where space and time and dimension are without form or order. He referred to this chaotic state of not reality as the strong extratemporal force, but simply referred to it as the impossible or the paradox in his notes. Time and ordered rational reality is a construct, a structure imposed on that state of not reality, the impossible. No.
You hear the birds outside.
That's Peach's, like, internal sirens going off. Oh no, oh no, oh no. This is so much science.
Just rephrase what I just said. Time and ordered reality are structures that are imposed on that non-reality, on the impossible. You could describe that almost as a wall that contains the infinite impossibility. That pure chaos of not reality. This wall of time and reality that has been imposed onto the impossible creates the bounds of stable, coherent existence. Could be described as a fabric that gives a structure, basically what we refer to as the weave, right? The weave is the wall that separates that contains the impossible, and interaction with weave, whether through arcane manipulation or intuition, is what we call magic. Desmond believed that the weave is not the source of magic itself, but instead that the weave is the framework that gives structure to what is possible and what is impossible, and that underlying conflict is the source of magic. And magic itself actually predates the weave. while all contemporary magic itself interacts with the weave to varying degrees, the magic that deals with time is directly manipulating the underlying chronomantic magic to disorder segments of time and the weave and allow the impossible to cross the boundary and begin to annihilate reality. It was through his study of time, and with the use of the equipment that he had developed, that Desmond revealed an exponentially growing degree of chronomantic uncertainty that begins with the arrival of the White Tower and increases and grows exponentially very quickly until time and reality both have completely broken down and rational moments cannot occur, becoming in immeasurable moments when reality is gone and everything is consumed by the total coexistence of the possible and the impossible. All previous studies of magic, in all other academic studies of magic, it has always been assumed that in the arcane math, that time and reality are native ambient forces, and that breaking them is incredibly difficult. Yeah, but Desmond, in his research and me reading through his notes, it seems like Desmond did uncover that time, reality, and the weave are all far more fragile than we have ever given it credit for. In conclusion, the White Tower, or that signal opposing the White Tower that Sav had described over the over that machine. Either of those things are disrupting or destroying time, reality, and the weave, and allowing the impossible to leak into our realm. It's getting worse and will continue to grow worse and become... It will continue to grow worse until reality itself has broken down and collapsed. Yes.
So what was... I'm sorry, I've been listening real close. What is Desmond's goal here? The version of you from, who built this tower and all. Is he trying to... No, is he... Okay, whoever he is he trying to rip the weave apart, or did he start ripping it by accident? Was he trying to fix it or break it?
Neither. He wasn't researching to fix it. He wasn't researching to destroy it. He somehow knew of the impending collapse of the realm. He somehow learned that the White Tower would one day fall from the Octurne, and the result of that would lead to the collapse of everything. And so he was researching that. He wasn't necessarily looking for a fix, but he certainly wasn't looking to make it worse. He was trying to stop it or find a way to prevent it. I don't know if it's something that can be fixed.
Roll... Anybody can. Roll investigation.
Gosh darn it.
I'm going with disadvantage.
Surprisingly effective. It's not going to be my best, but 21 disadvantaged. Good God.
I'm very tired. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll say a couple of you kind of arrive at, but as Esmond, you can confirm this as well. Desmond clearly was already interested in the magic dealing with time. He learned about the White Tower and the impending problems from talking with Sav. The chronophone is a method of communication that's separate from time.
That's right. Thank you. To clarify, the chronophone, the device that we had spoken to Sav through, it operates and is able to locate her specific signal every 12 years. And so at some point 800 years ago, while he was already interested in chronomantic magic, he had developed the chronophone and was able to get into communication with Sav, and she had shared with him the details of the tower falling and what was happening around the time.
But she was somehow able to predict something that was in her own future? Huh?
No, this is very confusing because time doesn't make sense, especially when someone can manipulate it.
It's okay.
It's Sav exists within our time. She exists now in the same realm as us. The chronophone that Desmond had developed allows him to speak with somebody on the other line throughout time. The chronophone itself can communicate without time being a factor. So everything that Sav has shared with Desmond over the past 800 years has been from her point of view in this moment that we are also living in.
Oh my goodness. And when you spoke to her just the other day, that's why she was so frustrated she had to start over.
Yes.
One more question is, so you said there was chaos and everything before it all, right? I was listening to you and to Gilgain once upon a time, at least a little. Who all did this weaving and organizing of all the chaos? Who made this weave?
The gods did, of course.
You taking credit, Araya?
No.
Unknown. The impossible existed before time did, and the structure of time and reality that was built as a wall to separate our realm from the impossible was set in place by unknown.
Like, she scrambles to her backpack, pulls out a heavy old book, History of Gods. No, Saw Louise, her book, it's not directly written, and it's more in her notes, but she talks about the first things that helped to separate the impossible from the possible. There were entities, there were gods, they're not really gods, they're more like concepts, and they're not dragons, but they're like dragons. No, that's wrong. But something like that. But life and death are entities, and not just the Lady of the Pale Lands. No, but like the actual thing of life and death and time and change. They're like gods that protect our reality from that thing before that is and isn't. The paradox of what's possible and impossible, and those gods protected what we have here and made it possible that reality can be.
I used to read a kid's book to my siblings about a monster who was named Paradox that lived in yesterday, and it ate children who didn't make it home before dark.
I
Thank
think it
you for
eats
that little-
realities.
Thank you for making that scarier than it needed to be, Beth. I was already plenty frightened by the whole idea of time being manipulated over time by Desmond or whomever, and but all for the greater good, and maybe it's all manipulated by gods weaving everything into some temporal fabric or cloak. Sure, and yeah, and also all my childhood fairy tales are real, and yeah. You know what? Everything's real, and the fact that I never believed in it all just makes me a damn fool. Everything's real.
If that's why Sal told the town that the Kibbeth ate children. And she
Wait, he was
like
making you the paradox? Oh gosh.
Fan looks at each of you and says, I don't know much about them. The arcane, but I know stories. Tell me more about the children's story. Tell me more about your Saluisa's story of gods. And maybe the stories, we can compare them with what Esmond is knowing.
I mean, I also read a book once called Airships of the Old Kingdoms, and that kind of sounds like something like Ez was talking about the tower.
Well, let's break it down then. Araya, start with what Saluis taught you exactly that about the gods that made the wall, the weave.
Well, okay, so there's Chrysalilin, and that's the sort of the god of life, and it created life. All of life. Time, right? Which is Vexernid, and it sort of set moments end to end. This happened because it occurred then, and then the next thing happened instead of all things existing without order. And then there's the god change, which is kind of like Rathfin. It allows things to not just exist, but also change at all. And then death, which you have to have if you have life, because you can't just breathe things into being. Things need to come to an end. If there's change, there's also an end. And yeah. Bulbulgarth. There's time set it all to order. Time, the existence of time was what started it, I guess. But I mean, that makes sense, right? You can't start without time, and time starts.
Fan says, well, start at the beginning. Tell us the tale, and maybe we can.
Okay. Well, okay. So she flips to the book and has like a couple notes. The time before, yeah, girl. There was a time before gods, before anything, and from nothing there became something, and that something was Leviathan. And it was born from nothing, and it was shapeless and wild. But it was the first thing to have ever become. And it was from that first emergence of... Hold on. Trying to make it like my words. It's tricky. But there was like this emergence of ideas, and it wasn't that there were gods or people or any of us even to have those ideas, but anything that came from it. And there's no songs, nothing creating, but that first and oldest thing, that impossible thing, was Leviathan. And it was... You can't even say that it was destruction because there's nothing to destroy, but it was a thing of just immense energy and chaos and hate and everything. But those ideas of everything and nothing, it began to create shapes. And those shapes were the earliest of the gods. And the Leviathan ate many of those gods. It was only through the four gods, life and death and time and change, the wisest and strongest of all of these concepts that it created, were able to sort of separate. So time set everything into motion, and change forged a world from his breath and shaped it to become a place. And life created things to fill the world, things that would call them gods, and death understood the secret of all of this as ends, and feared it most of all. But the oldest of, you see right here, it says that when time set all the moments end to end in order to give what was possible, and all that was impossible was left behind and forgotten. But that which was forgotten became a beast feared by even these elder gods. Paradox. I think I did that okay, but it's...
Exactly. A beast. The paradox beast. That
A
eats children.
Leviathan!
I didn't think that was a literal thing. No, I thought this was all metaphor, talking about how we gotta, be good to the continent and all, and respect magic,
No.
whatever its source actually is. I didn't think this was literal things.
Yeah, the gods are literally real.
Answers. So, what parts of that line up with what Esmond's found?
That the weave and time, that the weave is a thing that can decide what is or isn't possible from the things that are and aren't possible. Just because that what we see is plain and normal doesn't mean that the weave can't change what is plain and normal to make something extraordinary real and possible.
Well, it almost matches the timeline that Desmond vaguely described in his notes. Leviathan, the impossible, existed, and through the paradox of existing and non-existing, and the chaos of whatever Leviathan was, created the beings that would later impose time and reality onto it, and create the weave to not necessarily contain but separate Leviathan from us, and then move on to create a realm for themselves. And in time, people were born. So if all that is true, then the paradox, Leviathan, and the gods, or whoever that created all those things, were beings, or not even beings, but they were moments of reality or non-reality in some cases, that were able to impose rules onto the impossible and separate it from us, and allow our realm to exist.
A roll religion.
It's your best thing.
It's gotta be your best thing.
It's my best thing!
Yeah.
Thank God. I was
As
expecting a one.
As Esmond's talking, you're looking through Celoise's notes and your own notes on her notes. You find a passage that's immediately useful. Leviathan was the first child of whatever came first. Paradox is what was left behind outside of time, and after it was abandoned, became a thing.
Oh. I was simplifying all the things that were terrible and awful into one thing, but no, Leviathan is a child. The paradox was everything that was left behind, all that separated from this and that, and it's festered.
So, to try and make points match up, is Leviathan the impossible? Is Leviathan what Desmond referred to as the impossible, or would that be Paradox that is the impossible?
Paradox.
So Leviathan isn't restrained or caught or anything, so much as whatever was left behind by Leviathan, Paradox was contained.
Separated more, not contained. Like you couldn't have put it in a box. It just was this and that.
I'm going to simplify it a little bit just because your characters all rolled well enough to fully
Thank
understand.
you.
The first thing was Paradox. From Paradox was born Leviathan, and then later the first gods. They all came from Paradox. Leviathan is just the earliest of essentially what you might describe as old gods. But Paradox was the first thing to exist, to emerge from nothing.
So Paradox is the soup?
Paradox was originally the soup, but then after being separated from time, became a thing.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm connecting the dots correctly, Paradox is the impossible, or is that
yes.
Leviathan? Okay, Paradox is the impossible. Okay, so it's Paradox. Paradox has baby Leviathan.
And all of the gods.
Oh, it's all at the same time. Okay, so and then Paradox gets...
Well, not at the same time, but yeah.
Paradox, Leviathan, later on, the other ones. Lots of babies. And then the other the new babies impose a wall, the weave, separating Paradox from everything else.
Yes.
Beth, what's that story that you were talking about how if you stayed out late, Paradox would eat children?
Yeah, it was a book I read. My siblings. Paradox was the monster in the book. It lived in yesterday, and it ate the children who didn't make it home before dark.
You don't remember who wrote that book, do you?
I don't know, Chris. Do I remember who wrote that book?
No.
Probably Salinger or some nonsense with all the way things are lining up.
Can I roll for it?
No, you don't remember the author.
No, I don't remember. Sorry.
That's just a very interesting story, considering everything that we've learned just now.
It was an old book from my collection. I don't even remember where it came from.
What if it was not just an old children's book, but one that was transcribed and passed down over who knows how long? Not so much as a children's book, but a warning, a tale as to Paradox or the impossible and the weave that separates it from us.
And its children are the gods and not children.
Yeah.
So is that what this white tower is? Paradox?
Well, I think...
Well, the White Tower is actively breaking down the weave that separates the impossible from our realm. Or it's either the White Tower or the signal that Sav had mentioned that opposes the White Tower. So either one of those two things is at fault right now for the breakdown that we are currently living through.
I think the breakdown is Paradox leaking in and trying to eat reality. I think that the White Tower might have been the sword of Paradox to pierce into here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But Sav pointed out that there is something that we weren't aware of, that there is a signal that matches the White Tower's aura, but opposes it
It's the gods.
on the scale.
Probably that firstborn, Jonathan.
Leviathan, no. Well,
Yeah.
no, I mean,
Leviathan.
Esmond, roll investigation.
I'm gonna need you. So one more time.
Investigation. Sorry, that was too good.
I'm rolling with disadvantage.
No, not for you're not disadvantaged on investigation. Just say that.
Oh, just in general. Okay.
That's the thing that's keeping you awake.
25.
Yeah, and so you and Sav had done a quick orientation using like the stars, right? And the time it takes the world to rotate. You're able to do some quick math in your head based upon what she had said. And the source of the signal that is for her on the far side of the world, you realize is roughly in the position of the capital of Lux.
Well, that's both. You all see Esmond's tired eyes go blank for a second, and he just kind of stares up before coming back. Oh, that's convenient, I suppose. That signal that Sav was telling us about, it appears to be located in Lux, in the capital.
I like to think of the signal being kind of a force diametrically opposed to the tower, which is it falling was all of this, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at right now. If Desmond's research is correct, it's not so much that portals to other realities are randomly opening. It's that the White Tower or this other signal are literally breaking down the weave that separates our realm from the impossible and allowing it to leak in and slowly degrade and consume everything, destroying reality, time, and rationale.
So go ahead, Casey.
So we need to go to that signal.
Yeah, I guess we do.
And that signal's what? The capital city of Lux? Hell, that's great. That's where Salinger's letter said he'd be if he's still alive. Who knows?
That
Maybe
is at minimum several months away from us, probably more than, considering how severe the weather has become. It would take us
closer than the White Tower, though, right? We've at least got a goal. Let's get going.
Well, but this isn't all the answers. This is just understanding the nature of what's going on, which is a step towards fixing it. And
You said this thing could travel, though.
oh,
this thing is busted as hell. It was destroyed by the verdicts 20 years ago.
You're Esmond freaking Clockright for Arraya's sake.
don't use my name in vain.
Oh, no, I like that too. Esmond, you have been wasting our talents. You've been doing all of your brain work on your own. And you know, we're perfectly capable people if you would take the moment to tell us what to do. Have me and Casey and Kabeth and Araya and whomever else shows the fuck up. Have us repair the tower for you while you're doing more research. Give us the basics. We can...
He's going to have to fix it, I think.
Esmond, roll investigation. Advantaged if you're... Yeah, with tinkering.
Not all by himself, Casey. I may have added a proficiency or two.
That's a 37.
If you all work together, everyone, all made it your top priority. If you had to guess based upon the blueprints you've seen, you could repair the tower within 20, 30 years.
He gives us an airship and he takes it away.
The worst, Chris Wong. You're the worst.
All the time in the world.
Well, this will be our retirement
Oh,
plan.
wait. What if we leave Esmond alone? What if the rest of us don't help and don't bother him?
15 years.
Yeah.
Maybe
2 days.
13, 14 years, if no one helps.
How many Esmonds do we need?
Well, that machine's broken on purpose.
It's funny enough, if it would take us 15, 30 years to do it all together, but if you all leave and just leave Esmond and do it, I don't know, 24 hours.
Don't set to us impossible tasks. We can't leave you alone. We will reset the timer every time.
All right, so what are we going to do then? It's going to take us a million billion years to get to that even secondary point, and we can't repair this thing to make it fly or whatever it used to do.
Fane says, if you're talking about going all the way to the capital, that's across wild lands. We don't even know what's between here and there. There could be dangers. There's been earthshakes, monsters emerging from the forest. You're talking about going into the unknown.
Don't be ridiculous, all right? We have fought Oranakas who have been 2 stories tall. We've lost friends through time and space. We've seen duplicates of ourselves show up in battle and in our own homes. We've had friends and relatives disappear and reappear, and we just managed to roll with it, all right? We will get to Lux Capital if we have to fucking walk.
You're talking about a great adventure.
If the tower's not an option, what about a portal?
I would, There are a few options available to us. Maybe. But I would need time to study.
And Fane says, well, you know one thing. We're going to be traveling across the entire land to go all the way to the capital. There are some things I need to do in Erlengi's Pass before we go so far. Is there anything in this area that you need to go before we leave it?
If we're gonna set it all to straights, I can't leave them inside the portal. In the tear, I can't. Not Erlengi's Pass, but back in the temple.
Maybe. You mean at the...
Yeah, the desert. Maybe they're already back, and maybe we'll just go to the temple and they'll be back, and then it'll be fine. Right? They're capable. They walked in.
It might be good to establish communications with Ship's End again anyway. Just check back in and see if the refugees we sent there got there proper, and see how folks are doing on supplies and everything. And we can see if anybody returned to the temple. And if they haven't, then we could maybe go back there for Raya's sake.
Well, we've also we just communicated them with them 4 or 5 days ago, instructing them to begin making their way towards Erlengi's Pass. So if they're not on the road already, they will be soon. I imagine that if we're going to try and communicate with them through the etch and sketch, that they'll already be making their way. It'll be slow going. They still wouldn't arrive to Erlengi's Pass for maybe another 2.5 weeks.
I mean, you're talking about the people coming from Muirwood. You did not tell Shepherd's End to go.
No, we told Shepherd's End to come.
No, that was a big discussion. There wasn't room for Shepherd's End, and Shepherd's End is capable of sustaining itself, but Muirwood people are not.
Going to be fine.
Oh, excuse me. All right, then take everything I said and apply it to Muirwood.
I mean, do we have in character? I cannot remember if we have a way to communicate with Shepherd's End the way we do have to communicate with Mirwood, that we can maybe just check and see like status report on things like the temple.
You etch a sketch with Somsel, who is in Shepherd's End.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Somsel can communicate by stone to Mirwood.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Araya, we can check with Samsel if you need. We can just write to her. We can check and see if there's any movement at the temple, but we shouldn't waste our own time going back if there's nothing to go back for yet.
Yeah, if they're already back, then it makes no sense to go back. But if they're not...
Yeah.
This is a matter of... the gods could... It was the gods that shut away the paradox and that set things to right. And I think that the gods would help us in this particular instance as well. And it would be wrong of me to leave behind the people who studied the most godly things in all of Lux. More so than myself. I'm barely an acolyte.
It says, how far away is your temple?
Oh, just a week, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a triangle.
This is, I mean, if we are going to the capital, we should expect, on these roads and this weather, many, many months. If when we set out to the west, we might not be coming back anytime soon. Anything that we must do here in this region, we should do before we go.
I need some time to study, to look at our options before we do anything else. There might be alternative solutions to traveling to the capital. I need to look into it further before making that conclusion, though.
And no matter what, in the end of us all, we're heading to the tower, the White Tower. Which is many months anyway, so...
I thought the White Tower was out of reach. Isn't it on a different continent with that sap burden?
There exist boats.
So, this is general information all of you would just know. We just haven't talked about it recently. The White Tower's fallen essentially on the North Pole. Let's call it that. There is a northern sea that separates the landmass that you are on from the one in the north. However, there's a city called Sarathan that is there, and people from northern Eastvillan have traded with them in the past, stuff like that. It's one of the stopping points that the army sent by Lux going north would have rallied at on that continent. So it's not unheard of. Like people would go north, go by ship, right, or teleportation circle, right? Yeah, but that is from your perspective the northernmost continent.
So much further than the capital of Lux to us.
Actually, no. Lux is the capital. The city of Lux is in the western part of your continent, so it's very far west and south. So mostly west, but we'll say west by southwest, right, to get to Lux.
Okay.
You would go, essentially straight north to go to the White Tower. You're actually closer. Eastvillan's Shepherd's End, where you are now, is pretty far north.
Okay. Cool. I didn't have a visual on that, so that's good to know. I assumed that we were, with these characters, headed to, the southern node.
Yeah, let me see if I can actually bring up the old world map. So this is pre-earthquakes and stuff. But... keep going, I'll find it.
Fine. I think... Well, if Esmond finds out more, then it means that we might know if we need to be for the signal is to help. But if the signal is helping as it is, we might need... we just need to know more.
And then what should our next step be? Should we go back to Sheps and check on, see if we can have a rescue mission for the folks from the temple, and then from there continue on north to, across the sea? Find that white tower, find that Sav person? I mean, we can wait for as long as Ez needs us to, but without knowing what we're going to do next, it's driving me crazy.
So if you look at, and probably one of you at least has a sketch of this, and you're with you. If you look in Roll20, I've brought up essentially an outdated world map. So you see Eastvelin in blue on the east side. And if you click it, you can enlarge it to see it more easily. Eastvelin is a territory on the eastern side. You see it's kind of a dark blue. The city of Lox, the capital, is far on the west coast. So it's south and west and south. And then the northern continent, the centermost one.
And Silvarin?
No, farther than that. The very top of the entire thing is where you would suspect like the tower is.
This map is really awesome, by the way.
Thanks. I colored it with wet erase marker, and yeah, it's like pen and wet erase marker.
That's awesome. It is so beautifully detailed and cool. I can't believe you did it by hand. That's amazing.
Like maps.
There's like a huge wall-size version as well. Well, we have options. I mean, I think the portals would be a good way to travel. We also have the place between Peach if we use your Wanderlust. Combined with a bit of magic, we could go in there. Araya, does your book have anything about the Raven Queen or the...
I mean, there's the usual stuff about the gods. The part that I'm pointing at is more about the elder gods, and that there's a...
What about that god of doors?
You know, I have been looking for this, and saw Louise when I saw her in that other place. She'd mentioned that gods sometimes have properties of multiple sort of concepts, and it is not necessarily like if people believe that they have that ability, or if they have that ability and then people believe, so I don't know, chicken and egg, but even Brunhilde has a quality of breaking down walls and opening doors, and this angel of doors wasn't a god of doors, it was an angel of doors, and it seems to be trying to... Well, it seems to be trying to close the things that are maybe possibly breaking realities. So do you think that it's working against that is the paradox? But then it also seems attracted to the magic that's broken, and the magic itself, the weave, seems to be something that sort of delineated between that which is and that which is impossible, and so maybe the breakdown of magic is impossibility. Sorry, I don't know.
If the point is we need one of these ways to travel, we need a different way to travel.
Than walking?
Roll religion.
And if it means exploiting a bit of these things that this Angel of Doors is trying to...
I'm
you know,
gonna spend a
they-
thing to read. 16.
The closest thing that you found in your research that would even conceptually line up with the Angel of Doors is an archfey that it's archfey are weird, but it's a path that reveals itself to people who are searching, and it either leads you to fortune or folly.
Oh, remember when in the forest that there was the purple other place? Well, so it's not a god, and I mean, but it's not to say that that's not an important thing. But there's an archfey that if you are searching, that a path can be laid before you. That's just as often good as bad, or bad, but it could be a thing. And then we did find thin places. Ishel and myself, when we were in the forest, that sort of was, it seemed like the Feywild, maybe? It was lovely, and it was lush. Maybe that? I don't know. If you're thinking of paths, I just think that a lot of these portals, well, I guess that's up to Ez, right? Like, the ability to control these wild things on more than just faith seems more a tinker science thing.
No, I think the portals are a better way to travel. But the in-between space with the Angel of Doors, I mean, we need to get there for other reasons.
Of course.
So...
Can someone explain to me what the Angel of Doors is? Because, I mean, I've heard you guys mention it a couple times, but I haven't been around for any of that, so I don't understand what...
Well, you caught me when the Angel of Doors was trying to catch me when we were leaving the magic hidey hole that Ez had made, remember? Do you remember? Didn't you look up? I looked up and it was horrible.
Beth does not remember.
You before we ran, when we were trying to escape the crystal spider from that little trap door and the thing that was cracking into our little magic hidey hole space that we were hiding from the crystal spider, we all had to jump and leave. It was the Angel of Doors that was breaking into
I think it makes sense that Kabeth won't remember because she didn't play in the previous one, so it makes sense that would be jumbled. So in character, just like describe that.
Yeah, in character. Beth, I don't remember. I don't know.
You didn't look up? So we were all inside the tiny hut, and it felt as try to do a bit of magic that gonged, like it chimed, it made an alert notice, and we were suddenly in the sights of this creature, and it came to this bubble in space and reality that doesn't exist in space and reality that the Angel of Doors seems to think that it is its. Casey, don't you think that means that that's an accessible space, but that it is horrible? The Angel of Doors is not a thing that you want to go and meet. It's a thing you want to go and avoid.
I mean, we have a reliable way to get its attention.
You didn't look at it. It was horrible. Wait, Kabeth, out of character, were you there when you were in the afterlife with Seyfried? And then there was the Angel of No, that was
Ava. That was Ava.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I, the player, have been present for most of the stuff related to the Angel of Doors. Which is why
Be thankful for that.
What the heck it is.
It was a charisma save of 30 plus, which is impossible.
So everyone's terrified of this Angel of Doors, but I mean, we just need to get it out of the way so we can do what we need to do in there.
Well, I just can't figure if the Angel of Doors is working for or against us with maintaining reality. Because it seems to be upholding the thing that is breaking down magic, but it also seems to be a thing that's trying to close any openings.
Casey, how do you get it out of the way? If it's like this big, scary, terrifying thing that's very, very powerful, how do you propose to just get it out of the way? That sounds really scary.
It's terrible.
I mean, there are ways, and that's part of the reason why I'm asking Araya what she has in her book there.
Yeah, but
Well, it's not like a combat guide to Angels of Doors.
Well, no, but any information that it might have would be useful.
Actually, I'm going to give you roll a religion again, alright. Advantage this time, actually.
Please hire.
I jog her memory, Fezzik style.
A 28.
Yeah. So, in the research that you've done, it's, well, not, what's the word? Well, not all-inclusive. There is no religious figure that you have ever researched that lines up with the Angel of Doors. And given some of Saloise's ideas, it is at least plausible to you that the Angel of Doors is maybe not a god or something new.
Well, gods were made out of nothing. So it is possible that all this chaos is making something new. Or the Angel of Doors is not a god, or the Angel of Doors came with the tower, or it's just a terrifying person. There's a lot of possibilities. It's just not in the book, so it's not something that existed or that saw. I asked Saloise about it, and she didn't know. And she knows everything.
Well, it's not a god, so.
Or it could be just a new one.
One up there. I mean, worst case, it can be avoided.
I recommend that route of.
I mean, if Ishtalan would come back, we could get her insight on that.
We should just give her time. She'll be back.
But yeah, I guess portals then is our option. Ez, in case she turns to Ez.
Seems to be
I think
deep
he's
in
AFK.
thoughts. He's AFK, but just deep in his thoughts.
Well, so step one, who's with me for stepping through a really weird portal into the desert, hoping for the best? First, this is a detour.
Sorry, in fact, just because I don't know how long to be AFK, he mentioned he might have to go. I'm just gonna have as basically, he's taken his food, gone back downstairs to study, and so leave. All of you guys are upstairs.
I mean, that desert did look really cool, especially when those big worms came out. Do you think that desert is like here in our dimension?
No, I don't. I think all of the portals are to entirely different worlds, and not just like other sides of our world. I think it's like entirely different worlds. I think that it's
like
all of reality.
On that old map, which I don't know which one of you have the old map, but there's like a big desert on there.
No, but I haven't
do you
heard
think
about
we could
any
do that?
worms. No, maybe. I was just really hoping it was a reality that was unaffected by the tower, and thus we could escape.
At best, we could escape to what seemed like a deserted wasteland.
I mean, you didn't see the worms, though. They were really cool.
Casey, is it bad that I always want to make you take a bath? Am I being offensive when I try to force water on you? And that you really wish that you had been raised in a desert with no water at all, and then it was never a question of water or no water, it's just water.
Can we focus on the task at hand here?
No, but you're really excited to go to the desert, and I was wondering if it was just the lack of water. And I wanted to
Araya, I feel like this is a personal question you were asking this boy. We need to talk about if we're going to go rescue your folks. All right? I'm all for it. Anything to go, like, check on Shep's End for a minute. I wouldn't mind going back and seeing how everybody's holding up and checking on folks.
Fane says, "Hey, for one, if you are going, that is the way the path you're set upon. If it leads to my understanding of Brunhilde, and I will follow the maiden."
Just don't mention... Well, okay, no, I'm jumping ahead, but really don't mention that the maiden is horned, because none of them will take too kindly to that concept.
Or rather, we should say that y'all's belief in Lenge's Pass of the maiden as this earthly form is one that has yet to take on mass appeal. Many folks in our small town still have a very traditional view of folk who are horned like tieflings.
I
and
think
therefore
just
may
avoiding the topic entirely or just mention of it would be advantageous to dealing with any of them.
I understand they have different sacred horned figures.
None horned figures. None of them have horns. Mostly the bad guys have horns, actually.
I was confused.
Then we'll figure that out when we get there.
No, there's nothing wrong with a horny god.
You know, the kibis is a particularly excellent example.
But they understand at least the straight horns are holy and revered, and the curled horns is feast and.
I think. Well, okay. So,
Fane, tell us all about these different traditions. All they're yeah.
Hey, well, the horns of the maiden, they lead up the path, right? And they into portion, and into what is good, and well, the curled horns have the kibis. You have to appease the kibis. But they will eat the disobedient, the small ones.
That's true.
Faint glance, sorry. Esmond, I had you like take your food and go down to study for a little bit.
Oh, okay. The food goes cold and doesn't get eaten.
They're still talking. It's just that I didn't want them to be trying to talk to you and you're annoying.
All right, sorry. Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, well, as Esmond maybe reappears in the background, Peach is asking Fane, well, I mean, okay, there's the maiden and there's Kibis, but those weren't the only statues all around. You know, what's this golden dancer mythology we got in Lenge's Pass?
Oh, the golden dancer, yes. It's a revelry and joy, and it's he kind of looks. He starts to blush a little bit. It says, when there's love between people, it's the golden dancer that brings it. Also associated with boats, but I don't know why.
That's good.
Peach is blushing and she's, that is wonderful. Thank you, Fane.
The theme song of the Golden Dancer is actually Love Gun by Kiss.
There's the Watchman, who knows the plan and the coming of many things.
Es has a god? I think, I don't know what to think. Actually, I just think it's very flattering.
Esmond will, at this point, have gone back down into the basement for more specific research. I'll message you.
Well, if you're actually here playing, stay here for now, because they're big conversations that they're trying to resolve that your input.
Okay. Sorry, then I'm just head down, not participating. That's part of the conversation.
But Fane says, hey, but then anyway, if the idea is that we travel, if we were to go to the capital, it's such a long way. We might not come back anytime soon. What needs to be? I have to say goodbye to my people in Elenge's Pass, but it just close. What do you need to do here in this area before we would go so far into the west?
You don't have to travel with us to the capital. You brought us here to the tower, which is more than enough. You don't need to travel any longer with us.
You don't want me to?
No, I would love for you to. It's just, well, like you said, there's a lot of dangers, especially now that it's wintertime and very few moments of respite.
You're welcome to, Fane, is what we're trying to say, but this is also really dangerous, and if there's folks that you'd rather spend remaining time with, if that remaining time ends up being shorter, then we would not blame you for spending that time elsewhere.
But if I've dedicated so much of my life to the worship of the maiden and Brunhilde, if now that I know that such grand things and important things are happening, I cannot.
He can't turn it away. I'm all for him joining us. Did you know that there are no male worshippers of the maiden? There are people that respect her, but that there are no priests. It's only priestesses.
But there are many in the Elenge's Pass who we worship the maiden.
Well, we have parishioners of all types, and many people would come and visit the temple and seek out her healing, but no one is like a disciple. Does it make sense that there's like a difference between the two?
No, I understand it is different there, but in Elenge's Pass, I am a follower of the maiden. The maiden's path will lead to Brunhilde.
And Brunhilde has specifically blessed our endeavor, so I think this is a great path for you to be on. I just, Esmond, I was thinking that maybe we needed to go back to Shepherd's End, because if we're going to set it all to straights, there's an entire group of priestesses wandering in a portal that I don't think they're gonna save themselves.
Yeah. I will need additional time then. Everyone else can return to Elenge's Pass for a time if they want. I should stay here a little bit longer, and I just need to do more research on my end before we're prepared to make any journey to Shepherd's End or not.
What if that airship engine wasn't to make the tower move? Because the tower can't, but something much smaller that maybe only fit us.
We would still have to design and craft something for that exact purpose, which would retrofitting an engine from one machine to another wouldn't be impossible necessarily. It would just take time, and I'd probably need to work with Kibeth on it as well.
And maybe some of the smiths in Alenge?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Maybe if Kibeth wants to work with some of the smiths in Alenge's Pass, then they all might be able to come up with some kind of design that would allow us to travel faster than just on foot. But it's not necessarily a guarantee. I don't know enough about the engine to determine whether or not it could be used for another device.
The craftsmen in Alenge's Pass largely work with stone. They might not know such delicate metals.
But also there's the other option of, well, there's an archfey entirely dedicated to setting a path before people who are seeking someplace. And even when we were on our way here, we came across something of the Feywild, and it's possible maybe to travel through there to there more swiftly. But there's just as good a chance of it going very, very badly as it would go very well.
Yeah, Araya, if I just speaking on my own behalf here, I don't really want to intentionally go through a rip into another space-time dimension when we're trying to stay in this one at least temporarily until we go into the other different space-time dimension. Feels like taking a shortcut through a place you could get real easily lost in.
Well, I just wanted to make sure I mentioned all the possibilities that Casey and I were suggesting to explore. Also, he thought we could possibly, break through your tiny hut into the space in between and somehow avoid the Angel of Doors. If the Angel of Doors could break into the barrier that sort of like was the bubble into the in between that is the tiny hut, then maybe we could break through it and go through.
Absolutely
okay, yeah,
not.
let's maybe not try to trap or mess with it. Yeah, Esmond, I'm with you. Let's not try to mess with the Angel of Doors, but tiny hut's a good idea. We could. Whatever we're doing in terms of travel, we can, we can make an airship that's just a skeleton flying through the air, and then when the weather gets bad, we can land and set up the Wander and Wanderlust. We don't just have the technology that Esmond and the other versions of him came up with. We've got our own skills, our own magic, our own ingenuity. We can help you.
And just so you know, I believe in you very much. And I think that you exist specifically to help this. The fabric of reality thing.
Also, this is the only fabric of reality that is real and legitimate, okay? I'm telling you. And in this one, we're all gods.
No, I don't think about that one.
It's Araya. It is when you say, whatever you said. I can't recall what you said specifically.
That I believe in you, and I think that you are specifically the version.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you say specifically the version, Esmond abruptly stands up from the table and says, "I'm gonna go study. I'll be downstairs if anyone needs me," and he just rushes off.
I messed it up, Casey.
Will you guys stop bothering him and let him focus? He's fine.
He needed to know that there were ideas. No, he
knows.
fine.
He knows all the ideas.
And
but
also
he needs to know we believe in him.
And that we're here to help him. He can offload some of this. We're not idiots.
Well.
Anymore, I recently leveled up.
If he needs time, just give him time.
I just don't know if I gave him an idea or if I made him feel really bad. I can't tell the difference. His face, his thinking face, is the same as his hurt face a lot of the times. I don't know if you've noticed.
No, he was
You know what?
he was just thinking.
Was that a thinking or was it a hurt, Casey?
I'm done guessing. Peach will leave the room and go upstairs, whatever
I'm
the
gonna-
next spiral level up is.
But if we need to do something while he's working, I mean,
Yes.
we can go in between and maybe scope it out.
That sounds like a horrible idea, Casey.
But we need Peach.
How do we even go in
we
between?
need
We're not
Peach.
even near one of the portals right now.
No, we use Peach's hut.
And try to...
No, if we cast, there's magic. I think Doc did.
No!
If you cast magic in the hut,
No, especially not here. Not here, where it's like a nexus of all the magic that they don't want done.
well...
No, this is... Maybe if we were in a Lenge's Pass, that would be better, but no, but then we might possibly bring that down onto the poor people of Lenge's Pass, and I just... You didn't see it! You don't know. It was awful, it was terrible. I, a little bit, died inside when I saw it.
Well, I mean, it can't be that bad.
Casey, do I over-exaggerate often? Do I ever say... No, okay, I can see your face, Casey. I don't do you. You do you. You exaggerate and over-embellish, and I do not. There's a fundamental difference between us.
I mean, it was an angel, though. So was it really that horrifying, or was it
Did it have
adorable?
wings? Did it have wings?
Roll a Christmas saving throw.
Jeez.
Remember wings made of light?
Well, it was an angel, because it did have wings, and the wings were of light. So it's definitely an angel.
That doesn't sound so bad.
No, but it was bad. It was terrible to just even look at, and it was trying to get us.
Was it?
Yes, it was. It was trying to break through the membrane that held the tiny hut separate of the other, just because magic was done. I still can't tell if that was on the side of the tower or on the side of putting things to rights. I fear that it was on the side of the tower, that thing is an entity breaking apart the weave. Does that make sense? Like a weave police. How dare you weave?
Yeah.
Sorry, not a weave police. A weave verdict. A weave verdict.
No, you're kind of right. That doesn't sound that great.
You wouldn't like it. I promise you wouldn't. If you didn't like the verdict, you certainly wouldn't like this. Except it won't put you to trial. It'll just eat you. It was...
Well, I mean, it'll try, but...
Okay,
I mean-
it won't eat you, but it'll eat me. Did you see how fast I can run? I had to fall to escape it. I couldn't move fast enough. I had to fall. Like my legs didn't push me fast enough. I just had to use gravity.
Well, Ishtalon was dodging it for who knows how long.
Okay, so you and Ishalon will live forever.
And that handsome jerk was dodging it as well. I mean, if he could dodge it, we certainly can.
I think I would rather hide.
We just need to get there, scope it out, find Shalati, and then we'll come back.
Oh, I certainly think that we're gonna find Shalati. I just think we're gonna do so without drawing the Angel of Doors onto our heinies.
Well, yeah, but we just need to get Peach on board, because that's how we get in there.
Or Ez.
Well, Ez is busy. I'm
Oh,
talking
Ez
about
is
doing
busy.
this while he's busy.
Right now?
What else are we going to do?
Anything else? For first? Confirm that we can... Oh, fine. Pray first. though the signal is weak, the gods do and are reaching out and trying to help us through all of these endeavors because reality is their baby.
Casey kind of reaches into his pocket and pulls out the shard of mirror.
Show me. Maybe, we could do like a ritual, and I could help you, and we could just concentrate at like a window to her.
Once Ishtalan gets back,
Yes.
we're going.
Yeah.
He's pointing at her with the mirror. We're going in. She'll
do
know how to avoid it. I'll
I'll-
find Shalati.
Yeah.
Get her back.
Yeah. I'd love that. But don't you think that it means that
It's
we
a
can't
plan,
have
though.
Ishtalan?
Good plan.
No, but I think that we
we'll
have
bring them
to.
both back.
I don't think that you get to have both. I think that there's one reality that decides the realities, and I think that it's. I don't think you get both.
What part of any of the descriptions that we've had for the past half hour make
Because
you think we can't
that
have both?
is because that is paradox. Because both of them is impossible.
I mean, both of them have been. How
Yes.
is that impossible?
But we've picked a reality. Everything we do has to be to stitch and hold a reality together, and by picking her and pulling her, reality had to stitch itself back together with only one. We only get one, and is it up to us to I think talking with Shalati, I think it's a decision for Ishalan and Shalati to make.
No, that's not how it's going to work.
Casey.
No, we need Shalati, and Shalati needs Ishtalan, so we're getting both.
Okay. I just have a different understanding of the way it'll all come back together. And
Well, you shouldn't limit yourself in that way.
I will believe with all of my heart that we can have everything that we want and have it too.
It'll be a piece of cake.
There is a lot to be said that the stronger you believe in something, the more likely it is to be belief and magic and all of these things do shape our reality. And I think that your absolute belief in something happening also makes it possible. So we just need to believe. And I, with all of my heart, believe that Ez will figure this out. And with all of my heart, that we will help.
That's a good plan.
Yes! It's the least I can do. I believe in you. She sort of like hit his shoulder.
Well, once Ishtalan gets back, we'll go to it.
Oh, man.
I'll go tell Peach.
She like double downs in prayer.
What are you working on? What are you trying to do?
Did I make you extra sad or did I give you an idea? Please tell me.
You don't get to roll an insight check.
No, I would fail an insight. You know that's not my best thing.
The first thing, based on the conversation that we were just having, Esmond would start by studying the book regarding the network of teleportation circles throughout the Kingdom of Lux.
Hmm.
Well, that's a far simpler solution than our stupid idea.
It's not. None of this is simple.
What? So, in terms of studying it, what are you trying to? Where are you starting with? Like, what are you trying to figure out?
I guess it's regarding the network of circles in the kingdom. So I guess what I want to do is be able to map out the network and confirm that the one in Mirwood is the closest teleportation circle to us, as well as the requirements of crafting a new one, and from that will bleed into my studies regarding conjuration magic, as that's kind of goofed up right now.
Yeah. You quickly are able to get your answer that Mirwood is the closest teleportation circle. Moral investigation or arcana. Either one advantage.
You know what? I don't roll arcana all that often. Let's give that a shot. All right, 32.
Yeah. You arrive very quickly at the teleportation circles can't work. The way in which whatever's happening to the weave is being the way in which the weave is being disrupted you would have to create a new approach to magic in order to make something like that work.
Oh, so it's not even a matter of coming up with a new formula necessarily. It's literally having to develop an entirely new workaround to manipulate the magic to make it happen.
The attributes of the kind of the kind of magic used to use teleportation is fundamentally broken.
Okay. Then, oh man, that's a shame. Okay, then however long that takes would bleed into working on the door jam device, because Esmond knows that there is something. Esmond knows that his calculations with the door jam device are wrong, and it shouldn't work the way that it does. So regardless, he needs to study it for the purposes of being able to.
You've already done that. So the door jam device does work. It's the fact that it works that was weird and led you to discover/agree about the issue with the weave. So you've already that research is what led you kind of to that idea.
Okay, so can I do research in terms of being able to use the door jam device to direct it into opening or closing portals specifically? Currently it's only designed to expand or close portals that are already there. But one thing that we discussed was being able to expand on the use of the door jam to basically control these tears and being able to open and close them at will.
Okay, so you can sit on that research. Okay, that's what you're working on.
Yes, thank you.
I think I'm gonna have to hop off here a little early.
Yeah, give us one last scene as we fade out, in case.
Yeah, well, with Peach. You're trying to convince Peach.
Peach, open this portal, Peach.
Yeah, I think Casey would catch up with Peach at some point.
Yeah. You would find Peach in the one level above. She is just sitting, and she is kind of picking out a new tune on her hurdy-gurdy.
Yeah, Casey has the shard of mirror in his hand, and he's kind of spinning it through his finger. Sounds good.
Hey, thanks. Trying to put some of that poetry Salinger wrote to music now that I know that he's the one who wrote it all.
Very nice. So, what kind of magic did Doc cast in the Wanderlust to make the Angel of Doors appear?
She didn't cast any kind of magic to make the Angel of Doors appear. Who would ever do that intentionally?
Well, I mean, it was Doc, right? She cast something that was an issue.
We didn't make the Angel of
but-
Doors appear. We were worried that it might happen, but that didn't happen. The only time that did happen was when we were in that thing that Esmond made.
So there's certain types of magic we shouldn't cast in the
What are you actually
Water
asking,
Water.
Casey? This is a... What?
Well, I mean, it's good to...
What are you actually asking here? Are you worried that we're gonna, like, summon the Angel of Doors by accident?
No, I'm not worried. It's just...
Because I think as long as we're careful and we don't do any kind of, that kind of magic whilst we're in a dimensional thing, like, we'll be fine as long as we don't do that. So let's just
my middle
not.
name, but we so if we... The thing is, if we cast it in the Wanderlust,
Which we wouldn't.
but if we do, then the Angel of Doors would come
Maybe.
and tear a hole, and through that hole we can get into the in-between. That's how it works, right? I mean, Doc, or has one...
Casey felt... Oh. I don't know. Okay, when that happened, when we were in that hide hole and that spider was coming at us, you and I disappeared. All right, and then I didn't show back up here with the rest of you all for 2 weeks. All right? Since then, I've been solidly here in this reality, and I ain't messing with any kind of... All right, I don't want to sound unkind, but I think it's Esmond's magic that ain't working. That maybe it doesn't match up with this timeline or this energy. But either way, I'm not gonna... No, I don't want to risk ripping a hole that we can't repair. Why would you want to go to the space in between? Why would you want to... The Angel of Doors, when everybody else said, is terrifying. Why would you want this thing to be here?
Well, I mean, we're just going there for a little bit.
Why?
Why do you think we're getting Charlotte back? That's where we found Ishtalon. That's where Charlotte is. So we need to go there and get her back. Ez is busy, so that we can do this while he's busy.
What makes you think that Shalani is there?
Because that's where Ishtalon was.
Do you think that maybe Salinger's there too? Some version of him?
I don't think we've seen the last of Salinger, if that's what you're asking. And the only way to know is to go there.
Yeah, let's, And Peach will shut the door of the Wandering Wanderlust that she was using as a kitchen, and in shutting it, it disappears, flattens out just into the wall of the tower. Let's talk about this later, when Esmond comes up for air. We should all talk about this as a group, if it's something that we all might need to experience. But I ain't 100% opposed to ripping a hole intentionally, because then that's just a door.
Doors are meant to be opened.
And If Shalati's there, then... I mean, they're all different versions of Esmond, right? There might be all different versions of all of us.
But there's only one of us. I'm gonna go ask Ez about what type of spell not to cast in the hut. Thanks, Peach.
I didn't promise anything.
We'll talk later.
Yes.
Bye, buddy. Love you. Great work.
While Casey is while I'm gone, Casey will probably try to have a distracted conversation with Esmond about what spells to avoid in the hut in order to avoid disaster.
Yeah, don't worry. I have ways to deal with you not being here.
Okay, good. All right, guys. Good night.
See ya. Great work.
Yeah, your destructive force will live on.
Good job, guys.
Yeah. As Casey turns to leave, sword knocks a cup down off the table. Ping, 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 ping. And just heads upstairs. Downstairs? Downstairs.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Esmond's working. What's Peach generally up to? What's Araya up to? What's Kabeth up to?
I am appealing. I'm praying. I'm talking to some guts. I'm talking to the voices in my head.
Okay. Peach. Kabeth.
Peach is looking for fame.
Okay. You're going looking for a fan. Sounds good.
Do I find him anywhere?
You will, but there's a scene I have to do first.
Yeah, no worries.
Kabeth.
Kabeth has started looking through the bookshelves for anything about transportation in general around the Kingdom of Lux. She understands these books will be very, very old and out of date, very much likely, at least as old as Esmond is, at minimum.
Like all the Esmonds or just him, Esmond?
Not Desmond. Esmond. Because that's the last time someone was here, when Esmond was a baby. So they're at least that far out of date. She'll be keeping a special eye out for airship stuff and trains.
Okay. Yeah. I think you pretty quickly actually find a book that looks promising, and you find it in like adult Esmond's bedroom. Pluck it down off the shelf and start going through it. I'll give you some results on that.
Yeah, she'll plop back down near where Esmond's working, wherever that is. She'll be in close proximity to him, but working on her own stuff.
Araya, as you are sinking into your meditations, your Thane talks. It says,
Like just like relaxing, and I'm finally like, fully.
Does she ever talk back? Brunhilde. You're praying to Brunhilde.
I think that all gods deserve their due. Like, they all do. And you could choose to pray to any of them. I'm devoted to the Order of the Maiden. The Maiden and Brunhilde are distinctly different gods. But I don't believe that they're distinctly... They're both gods. So they have a lot in common in that respect. I think that your village's association between the two of them is because of our friend Salinger's meddling. They aren't usually connected as much as you think they are, but I think that it does them a disservice to not believe that all gods are connected in some way, shape, or form. Least of all in the situation we find ourselves now.
See? There are often times that merchants came to Langes Pass, and I would often ask them if they knew more about Brunhilde than we had from the stories and the temple. They had stories of other gods, but it seemed so. The merchants always talked of the gods as though they're stories and things that you just read in books, not that they are here. And I always wanted to to know more. And this shield that you have given me, you kind of pulls it around. There's Brunhilde's emblem on it. It is the first relic that I have seen. The hammer that Kibeth carries.
I think... So, I reach out to the gods, fully knowing that it has been a long time since they've been an active presence here. To believe and know a thing is real and true, but is deeply inaccessible is one of the reasons why most people in Lux don't really consider the gods day to day. They haven't been involved in our reality in such a long time that people have sort of moved on. Not everywhere, and not everyone, and I think to stop calling them will give them less of a reason to answer, but no, I pray and lay all my thoughts and worries at her feet. But I'm not praying to Brunhilde. I sought Brunhilde's aid when we were in her temple. That's why we have the relics. It's possible to reach them just barely, but most often I talk with more of just an emissary of the maiden than the maiden.
Emissary of the maiden? Tell me more. What do you mean?
The temple. So the temple I'm from, because I am not the maiden at all. The temple that I grew up in is known for healing waters and as a place blessed by the maiden specifically. And it was, but not in that she herself touched it and blessed it, but rather that she left something behind that blessed the temple. And
this emissary you talk to, does she ever talk back?
yeah,
She does.
she, he, it, yes, often.
So ever since I was young, the magic has answered me, and I can. Somas had broken his leg and falling from the roof, and I mended it with my hand. But
That's wonderful.
yes, but and always it has been, and so it was proof of Brunhilde and the maiden's blessings. But I've prayed every day, and never has Brunhilde talked to me until never was there an answer until the day you came to town.
What did you hear? Or was it that we came and that was your answer? Was there an actual tangible answer? Did you hear her?
No, Brunhilde, the gods have never talked to me. My prayers are only answered that you arrived.
Oh.
But your Your gods talk to you.
Not gods.
You,
They answer us as well. So
your emissary talks to you.
yeah, and I learn all.
Well, I hope that someday Brunhilde will talk to me.
Well, I think that I don't think the gods will ever speak to us in words. I think that they will speak more to us in actions, but that their actions are severely limited in the conditions the world are in presently. And it is true that they had a more active role before, and there's something that's really preventing them from doing as such now, but it doesn't mean that they don't hear you at all. And to not hear their voice, but rather to feel their presence is possibly just as important. And there's so many different gods that exist beyond that. There's an entire cult below Shepherd's End that really doesn't want us to visit them, but that's a god of the forge, of fire and protection and blood and sacrifice. But
and you have talked to this god too? It has talked to you?
I didn't know. Well, so we made. So sorry, Kabith. We made a small offering, but only in that to beseech the god to recognize that all of the world and all the reality is in dire need of all the strength that we can muster together. It is there that if they wish for there to be reality, no matter their other motivations, that their main motivation should be to continue to exist, that maybe they could lend us what strength they have. So now I didn't hear words, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
See? Well, just as you have spoken to your emissary, to your maiden, and she has spoken to you, I will speak to you, and perhaps in time Brunhilde will talk to me when I find the right offering, like you offered to this other god. I will make offerings to Brunhilde.
I think that you already have. I mean, the things that Brunhilde stands for most of all is protection and building and finding the strength to go beyond what is there and to bring back. She's a protection god. She's a caring god, and in your actions to do that and bring that to others is another way to bring her closer to our reality. She's already really blessed our efforts in providing us with the relics. I think that's more than enough to prove that she's trying to help us.
I have spent all my life I've prayed, but I've never ventured out beyond the Ringe's Pass. Perhaps if I will go with you, and Brunhilde will see.
Well, I think that you're more able to see signs of your goddess if you aren't, in the simple and safe places. The gods and the people doing the work of the gods would most likely be in the places where the work needs doing. And I think that's what set you on your path, right? And I'm just not wanting to raise your expectations so much that you'll hear the voice of your god if you travel with us. That seems unlikely, but they existed, and they exist, and we can find a way to reach out to them. And in the meantime, we'll learn everything that we can about where we can find the right help.
I don't know how, but I know it is the right thing to do. And probably at that point we hear the sound of Peach kind of approaching. But before we do heard that, let me give Kabath results on this reading.
And also, like, the scar on her hand tingles a little bit as if somebody's talking about. I didn't do the details, but I know I'm so sorry.
Also, I'm gonna probably peace out around 11 because I'm really sleepy.
Yes, so you doing research, flipping through this book. So the purpose of this book is sort of trade oriented, but it through that gives you answers, kind of what you're looking for. So when everything was functioning, there's a network of teleportation circles that connect all the major cities. So that was a method of travel, but it was mostly saved for. It's costly, right? And though it's something that's provided, it's sort of saved for kind of urgent things, right? So there's still a need for travel by train, and there's maps of the train networks that connect the major cities to the smaller cities and things like that. And so those function. There's also notes about the post and parcel and sort of the methods and schedules of delivery that you're also familiar with. So you're able to verify that whoever is helping to compile this book kind of know what they're talking about. And so there's also ship travel in the coastal towns, or deliveries of supplies and things like that. So, in terms of the predominant methods of travel for most of the just infrastructure of the kingdom, teleportation circle, but that's very expensive, ship and train, right? However, not mentioned so much in this book, but in other books, just because it's related, that you read before, there's the mention of airships, but they're extremely rare. It's not a common use sort of thing. But you've seen books that have like illustrations of the airships and notes about their designs and sort of things like that. Actually, go ahead and roll history. We'll see how much of that you actually remember yourself.
I'm gonna spend a point to reroll that.
Okay. Hmm, 12. Okay. Things that stand out to you. You know the names, at least of a couple of airships, and some basic information about them. The airship that is probably the most famous, and for which you know resides in the capital, is called the Dawnbreaker. It's a warship. And you know that probably the most identifying feature of the Dawnbreaker is that it's an airship essentially built around a cannon that fires like a rod of gold, and it was designed in a time to fight creatures that was the only thing that could hurt them. It was built in the time of darkness. There is another airship you've seen illustrations of, and that's like illuminated and really nice with gold foil and stuff, called the Ruthless Dawn. And it was an airship, from what you've seen of the sketches of the filigree and stuff like that, is sort of revolves around a sun cult of some kind. And then there's an airship called the Peril, that is mechanical in nature, and you see the images of it are associated with like lightning and things like that. Yeah, those are the ones that you. Oh no, there was also mentioned in this book is Sarathan City. That was a city. So there was an airship called the Sarathan. And over time, more and more and more was added to it until it became an entire city. That city flew for the last time in 12. Yeah, it'd be in there. That city flew for the last time in the Battle of Isolanior in the north. And landed in the north and was settled as Sarathan City.
Real fast, Chris, is the Dawnbreaker like a ship of Theseus situation here? Because that thing's been around for a minute now.
Dawnbreaker?
Yeah, man.
I mean, the Peril's actually the oldest one.
Yeah,
That's more the ship of Theseus situation. That one crashed a couple times.
all right, fair.
Let's see. Yeah, that's probably. I think with the 12, that's pretty much the material. But you also just. There's plenty of reason to suspect there have been other airships and stuff like that. Probably maybe older or just not as famous. But really something worth noting. There's a magical nature to a lot of airships in terms of in the mythology and the songs about them that are related specifically to the captain. Like there's a relationship between the ship and the captain. However, the Peril was different in that it's purely mechanical in nature. It was.
Do any of these have like drafting plans that would let Kabeth and Esmond build one from scratch in some way, or maybe with like something else as a base, like an actual boat?
Oh, I mean, you've seen diagrams and blueprints and stuff like that. It's enough to where like you could sort of conceptualize some things, but what you know is that in terms, at least the Peril, right, is based. It uses really rare materials that the power source sort of runs through that allows the ship to fly. So your bottleneck in terms of building an airship will be those materials. There's no way to, as far as you ever heard of, or could conceptualize a way to substitute it.
Could we potentially salvage it from the tower that we're in? That in theory is an airship that just is a little broken?
Well, maybe, yeah. As you're thinking about this and you're examining like the ruins of the tower. The tower is not an airship. The tower uses an airship engine as a power source, but it's not the same.
Can we steal that?
You have it. You guys found it already. The airship engine.
Okay.
Yeah, you have an airship drive core. That's what you found in the cache.
Got it. But that's too broken to use again?
The engine works fine.
Huh.
You just don't.
Esmond, a giant tome slams down on the desk in front of you, and Kabeth says, "We could build one. I mean, it might take a while, but if I understand the stuff in this book correctly, and you probably would understand it better than me, between us, we could take some kind of vessel, maybe a boat that isn't being used because, stormy seas, all that, and we take the engine that's in this place and we make an airship." And she slaps she'll like point to a picture of the Peril in the book, the illuminated one, and she's like, "It doesn't have to be shiny and gold, it just has to fly, and we fly where we need to go."
And as when your immediate reaction would be, and Kabeth would also is fully aware of this, that is plausible idea. However, the materials are the bottleneck. There's a type of a magical element that is referred to in the books called Dragonstone. That is what you need to build an airship, and that would be the thing you are missing.
Okay.
It's a material that when you run a certain frequency of power through it, it inverts gravity and place.
Okay, that's fine. You said that the engine that we salvaged is in good condition. It works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You slam the book down, Kibeth, and startle Esmond, and he watches you bleary-eyed. It takes a moment for him to focus and actually like hear you. No. Well, technically possible. No to the airship, though. It would take too long, and also we would have to find Dragonstone, and we'd probably have to get that at the capital. I had a brief thought, and I think maybe instead we could take the engine and maybe craft some kind of land vehicle instead, potentially. Mm-hmm. And so instead of something that flies, maybe something that just allows us to travel overland, specifically over snow, more quickly than just walking.
Okay, I'm on board. Also, side note, completely relevant to any kind of vehicle. At some point, we're gonna have to do something about Casey. Casey's. I miss Shalati. We all miss Shalati, but Casey seems to be talking about some weird things. I know you've been busy with your stuff, but just talk to him soon and figure out what he's up to. I don't know. Passing by the kitchen, and he's just acting weird, and I'm worried he's gonna do what he does best, which is make an impulsive decision and put us all into danger and then get us out of it somehow magically. But also, I don't want to do that again. I'd rather just build a boat, a land boat.
Esmond, roll history. 70? Okay. Yeah, in terms of your previous readings back under Gilgain, when you'd heard of Dragonstone, and you don't know much about it, you just kind of heard of it. It has one other name in a story that surrounds it. It's called the Blood of the World Forge. Apparently, the story seems to be that long ago, blood of dragon was spilled, and the stone that it splashed upon became enchanted.
No.
Deep down in the earth.
No.
That's where it's found.
No, don't make us go back.
Yes, we need to go back. We've already made appeasing sacrifices to their gods.
There were once entire mountains that floated in the sky. But now, the only dragonstone that can be found is deep in there.
Oh god, we're so fucked. Oh my god. Oh, Jesus. Hey, can Beth make an insight check?
You're good at this. You can do it. Hell yeah.
That's a 23.
Yeah, you see that Esmond realizes something but doesn't say anything.
Is it Casey or the sled?
Oh, no, the O stuff is its own. I'll talk to him. I just need more time.
Also,
it's also the sled, though. There may actually be a solution to the Dragonstone. Maybe. It's a slim maybe, but maybe.
you should tell Casey to take care of it. He needs a task.
He might have to be the one to do it, actually, specifically. It's for now. In the meantime, just come up with two blueprints. One for the land ship and another for an airship. A small contained airship. I'll leave it to you.
I'll start some sketches, and I may come up with some broad ideas, and you help refine it into something more technical, and together we make awesome stuff. It'll be fine. Also, you should probably sleep a little at some point. Just a nap, just a little nap. You can afford it now. If you're too tired, then how do you think?
I'm fine. Thanks though.
Okay. Well, when I start to worry, then you should be worried. That's the rule. That I don't make the rules. That's just how it is. If I worry, then you have to worry.
Well, feels like that's all I'm doing recently, so at least you're kind of matching my level now. Yeah, just he glances back to the door jam device. Just leave me to this for a little bit of time, and I'll find O at some point, and just let me know when you've got those blueprints ready. We'll go over those.
Okay. I need some more food to think, but I'll be back. And she'll go off to get food and sit and draw for a few hours while I go to actual bed because I'm so tired.
Get some rest.
Get
night,
that
everybody.
sleep. Good night.
Easy.
Great rolls. Good work.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, good work being the Esdar.
That's right. It's about that time that Peach is coming. You ever hear the sound of Array and Fane talking?
Yeah, Peach would approach where they are in the... I don't know.
In the upper ruins, with incense and candles. I was hoping for a ghost encounter, but that's fine. I don't know about the ghosts. I'm in the super hauntedest spot.
Peach is approaching with all due reverence, understanding the vibe of the space and respecting it. As she moves up to where Fane and Araya are, when she sees an appropriate moment, she wouldn't interrupt like any kind of prayer or moment, etc.
You just hear them talking. They're talking about the gods, and they kind of. It sounds like they're just wrapping up a conversation.
In that case, Peach would make her entrance more clear, and she would say, "Hi, Araya, Fane."
Oh, welcome. Are you here to pray?
Peach, yes, come.
I'm hoping more
sit
for.
with us.
I'm hoping more for a history lesson than theology.
Oh?
But they're so intertwined.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to get theology too, if such a thing happens to coalesce. Yeah, Fane, could I ask you a few questions about Slange's Pass?
Oh, me? Yes. I thought you would come to speak with the maid. I'm.
Nah. I grew up with Araya. I know everything there is to know about her.
Indeed.
I'm hoping to, and Peach would at this point pull a mostly empty notebook out of her bag. She digs deeply for it and comes up with a notebook that's bigger than the bag itself somehow. And she'll settle it onto her knees as she kind of gets into a crouch next to where Fane is sitting, sort of comfortably folding her knees underneath her. So I was hoping that I get maybe on record a little bit of the history of Slange's Pass. Just anything you know about the town's founder. You know, we've been talking about religion and all sorts of things like that, but I want to know what makes this town special. What?
Yeah, I can tell you what I know.
Yeah, please. I would love to. And if I could write it down, I'd appreciate it. Would that be okay?
Yeah, of course. I suppose I'll start with the broad strokes. Then, from what I know, is there was an old place that the people came from before, when they were hiding from. There were monsters in the world. Creatures that would eat the light. This is the words that were used. From this old kingdom that Alenge, it led the people to settle to make Alenge's Pass. I suppose we know now that it was the temple, but was beneath the town. And there were some. Alenge had the visions of things that would come to be, and give warnings to the people that we would sow for the winter and hark the horns of the maiden. And these things, these many lessons would prepare us for the coming of a long winter and a day that was every day.
That's real good to know. Did you all write this all down? Is there an existing recording in the Langi's Pass of this all?
Well, there's the stones and the stories. The best stories are hidden inside stones and revealed by fire. And that is how we remember. And the terror of the chickens. And there was a time when the chickens seemed to come from the sky and the earth and attack the people. And we tell the stories, but stone is the best way to tell stories.
So, yeah, I've seen the stone reliefs, and yeah, that's. I was hoping there might be a larger, greater record, but 1,000 years of time, I'm happy with what we've got. Thank you, Fane. Thank you.
I feel you seem disappointed.
Specifically, if you have any stories about, Salinger, the man with the visions.
No, Alenge.
Well, Alenge, the man with the visions, specifically. It's the visions that are the most very interesting, weird, and exceptional part of the
I wouldn't mind stories about the person too, Alenge.
Strong and tall, and wield the very power of Brunhilde. The hammer made of light, and fought back the darkness and made the day again.
Fought back the darkness and made the day. All right. Well done, Salinger.
But I'm told just with his voice would tell of history, and the stone itself would be imbued with the stories, and only it was fire that can reveal it.
Huh. Peach would look at Araya and say, Araya, if we get back to Alengi's Pass, can we remind me to go down to where all those reliefs were and ask Casey to light it up like a shadow play? Maybe we might see something we missed.
Well, you remember that was how they told the story, the histories.
Ah, fabulous. Great. Yeah. Peach in that case would say, yeah. That makes a lot of sense, Fane. It is the best way to tell the story, truly.
Where did Alenge go after the pass?
No, they say he went to follow the place where the sun is setting.
And was he an old man when he left town?
No, but it's like dwarves. They live longer than the halflings. But it's not the young man or an old man, but the middle man.
Thank you. Yeah, 1,000 years is a long time. I don't know why I'm even asking questions. Thank you, Fane. It's good to have perspective.
Stories have many truths. We have found them today.
That's very true.
It's you. You keep saying you. I can connect the bridges from your talking. You believe your person is the same.
Yeah, that the person that we call Salinger is the same as the person who founded your town, Alangi. Yeah, I think it's the same name, or a different name for the same person. Yes.
And he was yours and has fallen between the stones to go into yesterday.
Yeah, that is a way to have put it. I mean, I wouldn't say that he was particularly mine, but yeah, he ended up falling between the stones and through time, and ended up founding a town and saving a people instead of having an adventure with me, and that's okay.
I know that in the stories he went into the place the sun is going down, and it sounds like we are going there too. Maybe we will find him.
Yeah, keep listening for him. He's got a characteristic voice.
I will listen. Alright, and I guess that's where we'll end for tonight.
A way to go, team.
Yay!
Possibly
yay.
building like a small airship?
I don't want to build the airship. That's so much worse for us.
Esmond, if you don't build the airship, it's fine. Pete will just rip a hole in space-time with Casey's help.
These are your options.
You guys are killing me.
So
if you don't make an airship, we've got to find some other way to travel.
I did explicitly say that his goal was a paradox, and like,
yeah, it's funny. So there's a thing I might just have to retcon. I've been trying to figure out a way around it, but I think it's worse to not retcon it. When we did the recordings, and Jack Hallow, the witch hunter, says that he says, I'm going to tell the peril that I'm going to return to the city. I meant to say Dawnbreaker, and it creates a problem because the drive core that you found is supposed to belong to the peril.
Oops.
So I might end up having to just retcon that. I was trying to just figure out a clean way to okay, how can I make this work? But might just have to retcon it.
If you're gonna do that, I need you to post the episode just so I can go through and I can make notes on what all the recordings said, because there was so much information there, and if only one bit of that has to be retconned, that's amazing.
Oh yeah, well, it was just that. But
oh my god, that was wild. That was so much fun. Y'all
great episode.
Y'all are gonna give me a heart attack or an aneurysm or maybe both at the same time. I don't know.
How? What? All I did was bother you constantly, and then maybe Casey convinced me to make the Wanderlust happen.
I swear to God. You know what? Fine, go for it. Y'all are the only ones I think that have not been scarred by the Angel of Door, so go for it.
Array is legit.
We haven't. Casey and Peach were absent canonically during that session. We did not see this scary angel.
I tried very hard to impress how absolutely terrible. And that it'll break the world more.